By yellow jackets, I mean people who show up uninvited in your front yard wearing a yellow jacket and a badge, and they say, "We're from the government and we're here to help." I feared that they were there to shut us down. Some came as certified letters in the mail. Others came as site visits and talks with me personally. Bottom line, I had found myself to be out of compliance with various government codes I hadn't even known existed. What a downer. But it's not really the yellow jackets that had me down. You see, I have one neighbor who is not hunky-dory about our operation. This one neighbor got another neighbor who lives literally a mile down the road, and then a third neighbor another mile down to get up in arms about my glamping operation. This is a popular problem in the glamping community, and it can be humiliating. You feel as if you're being accused of a crime, as if you're running a drug lab in your basement or something. But while other hosts share of yellow jackets shutting them down, I have not found this to be totally true. Glamping hosts have neighbors who try to shut them down. The government folks are usually folks that come and visit who are merely enforcing their municipality rules and regulations. Keeping this in mind helped me weather the storm that was coming my way. Now, how did I respond to the Yellow Jackets? When they kindly asked me to see my operation, I suppose I could have resisted. I responded like I would with any enforcement officer, with kindness, respect, and a genuine attempt to understand the code they were enforcing. It's not the officer's fault that the various codes, building codes, health codes, zoning codes. Instead, I listened to them and took their advice to install a septic tank, get permits for structures, and seek a special use permit with my property. You're going to learn about all of these in 8 weeks to launch. I also got a lawyer. Now, I had a lot on the line up at this point. I had quit my teaching job. I sold a previous business. Wendy and I realigned our family goals. We were all in. We had so many plans to enter the glamping world and crush it. And it seemed like a few neighbors were threatening everything. But I wasn't about to let them win. While my lawyer helped guide me through the processes and the law and what was my rights as well as what my neighbors' rights were, he quite strongly advised me to reach out to my neighbors and reason with them about my operation. And I did, or at least tried. I reached out with my hat in hand and attempted to persuade them. They would have none of that. They took their fight door to door and even to social media. They cried, "Our beautiful rural community is about to be changed forever." And yes, they used all caps. They then proceeded to list the so-called woes of my special use permit application, which by then was well underway. August 18th, 2022, I was set for a public hearing in front of the county commissioners, and I was in the process of getting mauled by neighborhood opposition. Well, sometimes fighting fire with fire is called for. So I took the fight to my other neighbors, and there were a lot more of them. Some even thought highly of what I was doing. One neighbor humored me. "I'll send my visiting relatives down to you instead of my basement." I kindly asked my neighbors what they would like to see in a neighboring glamping operation, and many of their suggestions became part of my site development plan. Some of them even went on social media and defended me on my behalf. In the end, I won the neighborhood fight. The opposition grew to no more than 3, and before the public hearing came to date, it dwindled down to just 1. And that one neighbor downgraded to just concerns. Her letter got published in my special use papers, but 5 neighbors wrote glowing letters of support. These letters said, "We are excited to see the monument glamping operation of Chris and Wendy Jube come to the neighborhood. We totally approve of the path they are pursuing." Another said, "During those past 3 years, our property and quality of life has not been impacted by additional traffic or noise from visitors to their property in coordination with their business." And another said, "I am writing for support of my neighbors Chris and Wendy Jube's application for special use permit. I personally think it's a really great idea." And finally, living only 2 properties down from Chris and Wendy for over a year now, we have already been through all seasons of their glamping business and have no issues arise. And here's the bittersweet conclusion of our troubling year. We crushed it in earnings. Check out our year-end earnings on Airbnb alone. And with the other OTAs, it ran up to $130,000. And this despite neighborhood opposition and nearly being shut down. Now, it would be natural for me to grow angry with my 3 neighbors. They had ill intent in mind and really did try to shut me down, but that would be too easy. Actually, when you think about it, I have much to be thankful for the opposition, particularly this. My opposition helping legitimize monument glamping. And I'm not unique. This is how glamping businesses evolve. This is how any business evolves. A business meets a market need, shoots out of the gate making great money, and it feels great. But the heavy arm of conventional thinking comes in, typically enforced in codes and laws, and it pushes back, and it appears to bring things down. The reality is, however, businesses who embrace this evolution and conform to the standards of a greater community are the businesses who push themselves up to a level of legitimacy that galvanizes their success. The great irony in this is that entrepreneurs hate this kind of thinking. It runs against their very core. But I believe life is lived outside the margins. Now, I get irritated with agencies and officers and even neighbors who tell me what to do or what not to do with my property. It's my business. I've met aspiring glamping operators who look at me with fear in their eyes, waiting for permission to start renting out a spare room, never taking the step to start out of fear of violation of some sort. They're waiting for the government to pave their way to success. That day will never come because the government is not there to help. They're there to enforce. Business owners are on their own in pushing their business forward. It's our duty to figure out how to get it done. And when government stands in the way, business owners must figure out how to get around it or to comply. It's that simple. Now, if you are taking this class, I bet you are a kindred outside the margins, suck the marrow out of life type of believer. You and I live in the same camp. You've got an against the grain spirit about you that makes you perfect for running a glamping operation. You and I likely agree that there are too many government regulations out there hindering the wholesome glamping operation. However, there are ways things are and there are ways things should be. And to run a successful glamping business, you have to deal with the latter before you get to the former.